Good day to all Massachusetts, to Congressman Seth Moulton, to Governor Charlie Baker, and all state representatives, staff, faculty, and staff at the State House. My name is Tanisha Lawrence, and I am a Jamaican who lived in Massachusetts for 14 years. Today, November 16, 2021, would have marked 16 years since I would have left Jamaica, my island home, to work, study, and also live in Massachusetts. I find this day very historic, not just for me, but also for my husband, who this would have been his 10th anniversary arriving in Massachusetts. I do this video with a lot of mixed feelings, as Massachusetts was a place that I spent a third of my life. I invested a lot of time and energy working with people with disabilities and also volunteering on many different or in many different areas of the livelihood in Massachusetts. I also worked in church life, and I cherish the moments that I spent in Massachusetts. I laughed, and yes, there were moments that I cried. This is a moment that my heart bleeds, especially for my friends and family who are living in Massachusetts and feel that their rights to freedom of conscience, freedom of choice has been taken away. Many of my friends have lost their jobs because they refuse to take the jab. I remember a road trip my husband and I had to the Cape. And in traveling to Cape Cod, we traveled through Kingston. And I am reminded of my birthplace, Kingston, Jamaica. I remember our trip. On that trip, or anniversary trip, we went to Plymouth Rock. I'm reminded of the time when the pilgrims left Europe for freedom from popery, freedom to express their religion. It was in 1620, and last week, November 11, marked 401 years since the pilgrim went to Plymouth Rock. I'm saddened to know that Massachusetts, the place that the pilgrims fled to for refuge, the Mayflower, arrived in Plymouth in 1620. Plymouth, Massachusetts, the place that once held freedom or refuge for many immigrants, including the pilgrims, has now become a place that is oppressing its people, oppressing its citizens. I am aware that there is a pandemic called COVID-19, and As a health educator, I am aware of the magnitude or the stress that has been caused by this pandemic. I'm also aware that thousands, millions of people have recovered from such virus and have immunity. I'm also aware that the COVID-19 vaccine, as it is called, is very controversial, and many individuals worldwide, after taking the jab, have suffered numerous, numerous side effects, including death, Bell's palsy, and other complications that are irreparable. Mr. Seth Moulton, it was my privilege to meet with you on that Uber trip. I can still remember it. What a wonderful time it was talking with you about Lynn and Salem. Governor Baker, I was not able to visit your home, even though I passed on your street numerous times in Swampscott. My encouragement to you is that you take some time to reconsider your legislation of the COVID vaccine mandate. I implore you and I challenge you to stand with numerous state governors who have been standing against these vaccine mandates. We have the right, we have the freedom as individuals, God-given freedoms and right to choose in accordance to our conscience. If you lose your conscience, you basically have nothing. If your conscience is not free, you basically will do anything. There is nothing that is ruled out. My challenge to you, fellow friends and family in Massachusetts, those of you who have stood up to your employers and you have decided that you will not take the job, you would rather die than take the job, I encourage you to stand true to your conscience. Like the 3 Hebrew boys in Daniel, that you will stand up. You will stand, you will not bend, you will not break, and you will not bow. I encourage you to be true to the God you serve and true to what you know is right. God promised that He will feed you. Congressman Moulton, Governor Baker, I encourage you from the Word of God found in Isaiah 10, and I will read from the New King James Version. It says, Isaiah 10 verses 1 and 2. It says, "Woe to those who decree unrighteous decrees, who write misfortune, which they have prescribed, to rob the needy of justice, and to take what is right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless." Verse 3, "What will you do in the day of punishment, and in the desolation which will come from afar? To whom will you flee for help? And where will you leave your our glory. Without me they shall bow down among the prisoners, and they shall fall among the slain. For all this is anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still. I encourage you, men of power, men of influence, men who, in the state house, in your chamber, who look to the holy cod, look to God. The holy cod cannot save you, but God can. And his arms are stretched out still. You still have time to make a right about turn. I encourage you to change your thinking about this vaccine mandate, and that you will allow the freedoms that were fought for years ago. The people can be free. As one of my memorabilias from Massachusetts points, from North Adams to Great Barrington to Salisbury to Worcester to Boston to the Cape, all these points of Massachusetts, I encourage you to rethink your legislation. May God have mercy on Massachusetts. And as I remember the Boston bombing of 2013, while I was there, I remember we had a movement, Boston Strong. My question to you, Mr. Governor, are you still Boston Strong? Think on these things. Thank you for listening, and God be with you. I'm Tanisha Lawrence, and I endorse this message.